heartbreak in Port Huron today as a father makes a deadly decision. You'll hear the story coming up.
Plus, Mayor Mike Duggan addresses a report that accuses his chief of staff of ordering the deletion of emails related to an investigation into the city's support of a nonprofit organization. Make your date.
And it is a windy autumn day as we take a live look at our Skycam, Windsor's view of the downtown Detroit skyline. Brandon is here with a look at if the wind gusts have the potential to cause any more trouble this afternoon.
Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at noon starts now.
And thank you for joining us for a special 1-hour edition of Local 4 News at noon. We do begin, though, with police in Port Huron, and they have made a tragic discovery.
Yes, on Monday night, they found a father and son dead in an apparent murder-suicide. Jason Colthorpe live with the very latest on this. Jason?
Karen, this is a really quiet neighborhood in Port Huron, and last night around 8:30, neighbors were shocked to find dozens of police cars up and down the street here, all circulating on this house here, and it really is a heartbreaking story. Let me walk you through. The family that lived here was a husband, wife, and their 6-year-old boy. The wife had become estranged, and last night around 8:30, she called police asking for a welfare check on the father and the 6-year-old boy. Police arrived to find both of them dead of gunshot wounds in what they believe is a murder-suicide. Now, neighbors around here knew the family to be very normal and what's seemingly a happy family up until recently, but they would often see the father pushing the boy out here and playing and never noticing anything out of the ordinary. And that is until they saw all of those cars here last night. Here's what one neighbor saw and reacted.
You hear about it, but that normally doesn't happen in your neighborhood. That's how I felt. It's like eerie. Like I feel today. And there are 2 cop cars over there, one down there. The whole street was lined up. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, the man who lived here, we believe, owned a business in town here, and it's just really difficult when you hear the details of this. We're going to be talking to more neighbors and people who knew this family and have much more on this coming up later on Local 4 News. For now, live in Port Huron, Jason Colthorpe, Local 4.
All right, very sad, Jason. Thank you. A disturbing investigation is underway in Detroit this morning after a 6-year-old child is found dead inside of a home. This is video of the scene on Lake Point Street. This is on Detroit's east side. Right now, investigators are trying to work out how the child died. So far, no arrests have been made, but we'll continue to monitor the investigation and keep you updated here and on clickondetroit.com. Also this noon, police in Clawson are warning of a stranger danger risk. Officers say that a 10-year-old girl was approached yesterday afternoon by a man in a black truck near Shalom Elementary School. She said that he asked if she wanted some candy, and she said no and ran to a safe place. That's when the man drove off. He is described, though, as a white male with long white beard and white hair. So anyone with information, if you think you saw something in Clawson or know something about this man or the incident, please contact Clawson Police.
Now to an update to a story Local 4 has been following for the past 24 hours. Mayor Mike Duggan addresses a report that accuses his chief of staff of ordering the deletion of emails related to an investigation into the city's support of nonprofit organization. Make your date. Local 4's Rod Maloney live with what the mayor just had to say. Rod.
Mayor is essentially saying there's no there, that for all of the effort that went into this report, the Inspector General's report, that had some interesting findings, like his chief of staff abused her authority by ordering the staff to delete emails related to this program, that the chief development officer also did the same, and that the deputy chief development officer also, in ordering to have these emails deleted, that they abused their power. They said that the mayor did not abuse his power. But the mayor is saying essentially that he put them in a bad spot, excuse me, because of the situation with Robert Carmack. Now, he was a local business person who, in fact, about 6 or 8 months ago, right about where I'm standing, was playing a billboard, a video that they had shown of a private investigator following the mayor around town, and in particular going to the house of Dr. Sonia Hassan out in Oakland County. And that is where all of this sort of leads. And the mayor even admitted that he put his staff in a bad spot. He says that his chief of staff, in ordering these emails to be deleted, was to protect his own staff. So here's what he said today about what he's doing to his staffers who were involved in this email deletion situation.
And I have directed that Ms. Wiley, Mr. Friedrichs, and Ms. Abu Shakra undergo training that Mr. Garcia will be running relative to document management, FOIA law, document retention law, to make sure that they are fully versed in these programs. They made a mistake in judgment. There's no question about that in what they did. I believe this is the appropriate action to be taken.
Now, what the mayor also said was that in these emails, there was nothing really there, that he and his staff tried to put the emails out in advance of the OIG's report, but the OIG asked them not to do that. He said that when you look in the emails, there's nothing in them. And in fact, the staffers didn't delete anything in their own emails. And so what he's saying is that it was a bad judgment call, but it looked worse than it actually was. Of course, the other issue becomes what's the state going to say about this, because the Attorney General's office is looking into this whole situation. OIG doesn't necessarily go after illegalities, just the issues of power and the abuse or use of power. And so now we have to wait and see if the Attorney General's office believes that there is any there in this situation. But we'll have more coming up on Local 4 News at 5. So for now, reporting live from downtown, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
Ron, I do have a question. The mayor stated that his staff clearly didn't know the laws in terms of how to deal with emails and whether or not they had the right to delete them. Does that mean that perhaps they have deleted other emails in other situations in the past? Are they going to dig into that?
Well, the Inspector General didn't. Whether the Attorney General's office does, that's the question that's at hand now. And now we'll just have to wait and see what the AG's office says as they dig through the same situation.
All right, troubling situation on that front. All right, thank you, Rod.
We are switching gears this noon to talk about the weather, and something Brandon prepared us for earlier this morning was that the temperatures aren't going to warm up despite all that sunshine out there.
Oh, and the sunshine is going away just as quickly as those temperatures are going away. And yeah, one has something to do with the other, but really the wind will steal the weather headlines here. Day 2 of 3 wind days, and it can create some issues. Look at the winds right now at Metro, 56 degrees, but out of the southwest, almost 30 on their own. Low and middle 50s just about everywhere else. Occasionally these winds are gusting near 40. That's the 38-mile-an-hour wind gust from Romulus, 30-plus in central Oakland County. We have Macomb County reporting 35-mile-an-hour wind gusts, same down in Monroe. And that'll be the case through the rest of the afternoon. Get used to more clouds and more gusty winds coming through. 55 at 2, down to 54. A couple of isolated shower chances across mainly our west and north zones later on. Coming up, we'll talk a little bit more about this lakeshore flood warning created by the winds and other issues these winds will create. Ladies?
Appreciate it. Thank you, Brandon. Eastbound I-94 back open after a deadly crash. One person was killed in the chain reaction crash on I-94 this morning, and we're learning more about what might have caused it. Police tell us a pickup truck was approaching an existing traffic jam at high speed and rear-ended another vehicle, which then hit another vehicle. One woman was killed in the crash. The driver of the pickup is under arrest for driving under the influence. Meantime, turning overseas, 3 people are hurt, including 2 babies, after a man drives into a crowd in Norway. Police say the man stole an ambulance, then crashed it into the family. Police shot that driver. His condition is not clear right now. An investigation, though, is underway to determine if this is an act of terror.
Ambassador Bill Taylor, the top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine, arrives on Capitol Hill to be deposed in a closed session before the House as part of the ongoing impeachment inquiry. He made headlines when his text messages with former special envoy for Ukraine, Kurt Volker, and U.S. ambassador to the EU, Gordon Sondland, were released. The texts show that Taylor expressed serious concern about why the Trump administration was withholding aid from Ukraine. Both Volker and Sondland have spoken to impeachment investigators in recent weeks. Meantime, President Trump says that he wants more support from the GOP. Let's take a closer look. President Trump taking aim at the House impeachment inquiry.
What happened to the whistleblower? They're gone because they've been discredited.
House Democrats are investigating allegations the president abused his power by pushing Ukraine to probe his political rivals.
What we need to do is build this case, solidify it. None of these witnesses have contradicted anything in the complaint.
President Trump wants Republicans to get tough during the impeachment battle, just like he says the Democrats are.
I think they're lousy politicians. But two things they have: they're vicious and they stick together.
House Democrats did stick together on Monday, halting a GOP-led effort to bring a floor vote on a resolution to censure Representative Adam Schiff among those leading the impeachment investigation. Supporters of the bill say that Schiff is guilty of misleading conduct for exaggerating the phone call President Trump had with his Ukrainian counterpart. Schiff responded afterward, tweeting that Republicans, quote, lack the courage to confront the most dangerous and unethical president in American history.
The House is going to impeach the president. They can't put it back in the tube now. And I think unless something else comes out that we don't know about, he's highly likely to be acquitted in the Senate.
Numerous Democratic sources are saying that the impeachment proceedings may take longer than originally expected because witnesses are providing additional leads and also because some interviews had to be rescheduled due to the memorial services for the late Representative Elijah Cummings later this week.
Meantime, Michigan Representative Justin Amish is speaking out about the impeachment inquiry, especially talking about Republicans who defend the president.
It's a shame, and I think they know better, and I think deep down they wish they weren't, trapped in this position, and I hear that from my colleagues on the House floor. I hear them talk about how they wish they weren't doing this. And frankly, I think a lot of the retirements that we hear about are people who are just trying to ride out this president, and they might think of coming back into public office later on once this president's gone.
This morning, President Trump tweeted calling the impeachment inquiry a, quote, lynching. Still to come this noon, Justin Trudeau celebrates a big victory today, but there is also a shift in Canadian politics. What that shift is next.
But first, what Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was able to do while being treated for pancreatic cancer that may have helped her battle the disease.